our campuses, are there any discussions to adjust course schedules as necessary to help mitigate overcrowding of our facilities and resources during these peak times?
Well, that's a somewhat ontological question, which means circular. And so students, it turns out, don't want to come to class on Monday morning, and faculty members don't want to have class on late Friday afternoon, and faculty members don't want to have class on Saturday mornings and Saturday afternoons. And so everybody wants to have class on Tuesday and Thursday, and they'd like to just, have lunch on Wednesday. And so, what we have is we have demand concentrated on a couple of days. It also turns out to be the way that some courses cycle. There's courses that meet twice a week. There's courses that meet once a week. There's courses that meet 3 times a week. There's courses that meet 5 times a week, depending on the nature of the course. There's lab courses, which are obviously often concentrated on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday regular course schedule. So it turns out that Tuesdays and Thursdays are particularly complicated days. Now, if the students came back to us and said, what we'd really like is classes 18 hours a day, 6 days a week, that'd be fantastic. Because then we'd start scheduling classes in the evening. We'd start which I'd be happy to see us do. We'd be scheduling classes on Saturday, which I'd also be very happy for us to do. We'd be scheduling classes from 6 a.m. to midnight. Fantastic. It's just then that people have to actually show up. So how many prefer that we had really early morning classes Monday through Saturday? I got like 3 hands over here. I don't know about the other places. How about if we had evening classes? A few hands. How about if we offered classes 6 days a week, including Saturday? Now, a lot of students work. About 70% of our undergraduate students have jobs, and so there's all kinds of complexities. But you're right, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we need to find a way to free things up a little bit. And so one thing that would be useful for us would be through student government leadership would be to get some ideas from you all. Because too often also the schedule is driven by faculty schedules. And we find those to be, from time to time, self-centered. That is, they're about themselves, as is true with anyone. And so Provost Searle is here. Provost Searle, do you want to make a comment?
Most importantly, what we do is we make sure that we guarantee course availability, especially for students in their graduating year, because it's very important that they be able to graduate on time and not have that interrupted because the course isn't offered because it's just not the schedule. So we don't do that kind of thing. We do offer, certainly the students at the West Campus can testify that we have a lot of labs now on Saturdays because we're making use of the space then. We have moved also to a lot of hybrid courses. I think a lot of students downtown see more of this, where we have 1 day a week in class and 1 day is done through technology. And so we're looking at all kinds of ways to better use our spaces. One of the problems we have is often scheduling. If you have a 1 day a week class, well, we've got to find the counterpart for the other day during the week. Otherwise, we've got a classroom that's booked for 2 days and it's only used for 1 day. So.
Yes, these are good questions, and these are questions that we also are trying to flow with the use of technology, some preference of the students, some preference of the faculty, tie those things together and try to figure out how we can best do this. And so we need to hear more from you all also. And you saw that enthusiasm for starting early, that 7 a.m. When I was an undergraduate, I don't know what was going on, but the university had so many more students than they'd had before. So they decided to have classes at 7:30. Every day, start classes at 7:30. And it just so happens that because I was an athlete and I was in training in the afternoons, I took all these early morning classes, and it was horrible. I mean, I had to get up. And so I had to get up at 6 o'clock when I'd gone to bed at 3 o'clock. And it's just, not conducive to your long-term survival. But I think that there would be value in broadening the classroom scheduling timeframe and trying to deconcentrate those midday Tuesday and Thursday experiences.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michaela. I am a junior studying mechanical engineering here on the Poly campus. And my question, how may we expand or better the dining services to provide more plant-based options for everyone at every meal every day?
Very good question. Very important question. The plant-based options for food now are accelerating through our society rapidly. So, you can get a Big Mac at McDonald's now that's plant-based. You can get a Whopper that's plant-based called the Impossible Whopper. And so we need to be doing more. I'm not suggesting Whoppers and Big Macs as your common food, although that would be great. You're going to see us move to more plant-based options. I'm going to ask residence hall staff and residence life staff again to keep looking at that. We should have as many plant-based options. There should always be plant-based options. There should always be, if there's a non-plant-based entree, there must be a plant-based entree, as well as other options. Couldn't agree more. We have to get people, when we do this though, to buy it. So it's one thing to offer it. It's another thing for people to consume it. And so we have to make certain that we work with our food service provider, Aramark. We have a lot of plant-based options, more than we did, and we need more. And we're working on all those fronts. And so if you have other ideas, that would be great also.
Thank you.
One more question from Polly.
Okay.
Hello, President Crow. My name is Maria Espinosa, and I'm studying mechanical systems engineering here on campus. I'm also a veteran, so I wanted to thank you, before I ask my question, for creating resources like the Pat Tillman Center and making it possible for veterans to easily access those military benefits. My question is, during the opening statement, you spoke about leadership. Do you have any stories or advice you'd like to share to students on campus who are going to be emerging leaders in the future?
Do I have any stories? I have lots of stories. Most of them you wouldn't be interested in. But what I would say is, if students are interested in ultimately becoming leaders or being prepared to be a leader when asked, so you never know when your leadership is not about running an organization. It may be about helping your community to flee a fire, or responding to like Paradise, California, where 14,000 homes were destroyed. Or, I mean, so leadership is a function both of position and of action. And so the most significant thing that I can say to anyone who's hoping to become a leader is to become as deeply educated and aware as you possibly can, number one. And number two, to become as empathetic as you possibly can, because leaders need to understand how other people are thinking, how they're feeling, how to be responsive to their needs and their thinking. That's true in everything. So those are two words of advice. And then also is to not think about leadership as a function of position, but to think about leadership as a function of mindset. And so the first and most important leadership aspect that every person needs to have is to be the leader of yourself, the CEO of your own brain, the CEO of yourself. So many people are not leaders of themselves. They don't think about how to lead themselves to do what they really think they ought to do. They succumb to other things. They think that it's someone else's responsibility. They think that it's someone else's fault. They think that if they couldn't do this, it's because their mother ran off or their father ran off or something happened to them along the way. And things happen to everyone. And so the key to being a leader is first being a leader of yourself. And so I'd sort of give that as one little tidbit of advice. And most people are sitting there saying, I don't really know what he means. But if you ask yourself deep down, you sort of know what I mean. And that is to take charge of your own life and to lead it, and then to find opportunities to be a leader with other people.
Thank you, President Crow.
All right, we will go to the Tempe campus for a final question or two.
Okay.
Hi, President Crow. My name is Dominic Fratura. I'm a student here on the Tempe campus, junior, studying business, global politics, and global management. I wanted to ask you about the retirement community that's being built on Mill Avenue, kind of what the plan is for that, maybe a potential date of completion, and how the members of that community are going to be integrated into the ASU community.
So that project is on University, near the intersection of Mill on the Tempe campus. That project is called Mirabella. It's on university property, and it's a partnership project with our enterprise partners, not-for-profit private arm of ASU. That project will have about 350 couples living in apartments there. They will go in healthy in the last quarter or in the overtime part of their life. So they will go in, and then they will become integrated into the ASU community as mentors, as teachers, as advisors, as research subjects, as research participants, as researchers. We think that those 700 or so people Then over time, obviously, nature takes its course, and they will then ultimately be able to have access to memory services as the memory fails as people get older, or other medical services as your body requires more constant repair or attention. The hope is to make this a model community embedded on campus. Think of it as a dormitory for 70-year-olds, and a nice one, 4 restaurants, underground parking. It's a little more expensive than your dormitories, but that these people will become integrated into the community, and then as they pass on, then their apartments then will become available to the next family that wants to move in. And so we're looking at this as the first of what we think of as possibly several of these facilities, perhaps on different campuses, perhaps in different parts of the university. And we're looking at it as a part of our overall movement into the idea of universal learning, lifelong learning. And so it's a way for the university to reach out to some people. And you know, it's I think already fully subscribed, or nearly fully subscribed, 90% subscribed, and it will be open in a year or so.
Thank you, President Crow.
Oh, some of our students, I'll just add that some of our students will also be active in training and internships as a part of the facility. Yeah, arts, performing, nursing, aging, people that are into geriatric policy, geriatric design, all kinds of things, nutrition. Yes. So it's raining very hard on the Polytechnic campus. I don't know about the other campuses, but so I think I'm going to get even wetter than I am. So any other question?
Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a senior studying business management. And my question is, how is the university planning on improving the student to academic advisor ratio, ensuring that academic advisors across the university are consistent with their advice to students and help students achieve their academic goals within the 4 years of their career?
So that's a fantastic question, because it points out some of our complexities. And so we are deeply committed to student success. We've doubled the 4-year graduation rate. We've greatly enhanced the retention rate of the students from Arizona. Nearly of the first-year students, nearly 90% are now being retained. It used to be 70% and even less than that. Advising is a critical function. It's a function at ASU that we now are doing in multiple ways. So we have an advising tool called Me3 that helps students think about their careers and their pathways. We have another advising tool, which is the system that you all use to simulate your pathway to graduation success, eAdvisor. So that's another tool that we've built over the years and spent millions of dollars building this tool. Provost Searle's going to have a comment also. But then also relative to the face-to-face advisors, we know that we need more, better, and enhanced in everything that we're doing. But then we have to operate under the fiscal constraints that we have. And so this is an area of intense focus for us, with many innovations that we're attempting to put in place, including tutorial capacity built into certain curricula. So we'll soon have completed a 12-course biology curriculum, initially 8 and then 4 additional courses that are completely adaptive. Meaning if you're taking course 6, it's re-educating you on what you learned in course 1 and what you didn't learn in high school to help you to be able to be successful in course 6 or course 8 or course 12. Now imagine that then freeing you from having to worry about a biology advisor and then finding a life coach, which is a different kind of advisor. And so we're trying to use combinations of technology and people to enhance the advising outcomes. And then Provost Searle would like to make a comment here.
I just want to add that one of the things we're trying very hard is to make sure students do get consistent advice. And one of the ways to do that is to ensure that every time an advisor meets with a student, the advice that's given is codified and it's put into a system where it's a product that we use. And so that the next advisor opens up your file, sees it, and they can see exactly what was said. And so we know what was transacted. What we're going to a step further, which is to ask all advisors to ensure that any of the email correspondence with you is also then pasted in there so that we have that as a permanent record, and therefore hopefully improve the quality and the consistency of the advice we give. And as President Crow said, we're working constantly to improve this, both the ratio as well as using the technology as a means to help make this a more effective way for you to learn.
So this is a very good question, because it's a question where we have to find technological means as well as human means to make this work, because our resources are such that we're operating with a different set of inputs. It used to be the case that public universities were also supported by the state sufficiently to cover a lot of the costs that private school tuition covered. That's no longer the operating environment at this public university. The state is a significant investor, but not significant enough of an investor to allow us to make up the kinds of resources that private universities have. And so we're using organization, technology, new methods, new ways to try to keep costs limited while at the same time improving academic outcomes. So Daniel, the building's beginning to float, and are we still going?
No, that concludes
Daniel, by the way,
student forum.
Daniel, by the way, is a world-class pilot and a world-class pilot instructor. So Daniel, could you take off in this?
Probably not. We'll see. Thank you all for attending the student forum. Final question for Dr. Crow. If anyone needs to raise their hand, ask a question, how can they contact you?
So the best way to contact me is to remember my name, Michael Crow, michael.crow@asu.edu. And you let me know what issue you have, what problem you have, what dynamic you have. And to the student that was talking about family housing, make sure you talk to folks over here so we can solve that. And then for others, if you can't get the resolution to your issues, make sure that you let me know also. But then like we just heard, sometimes it takes a while to fix things. But then also I want to just say something about financial aid, which I often say at these meetings, and that is, if your family financial circumstances change, make sure that you're talking to the university about your financial aid needs. There's lots of reasons that people leave the university. We don't want financial aid to be one of those reasons. We want those to be as few as possible. You're leaving because you've been given a chance to go to Mars. Okay, that's okay. You're leaving for some other kind of reason, and so we're trying to make leaving difficult. So thank you, everybody, and thank you.
Thank you,
Daniel.
Dr. Crow. Thank you, everyone, for coming.